India is suffering from the worst water crisis in its history. According to the Indian Met Department, almost half of the country is facing drought-like situation, out of which Chennai, the sixth largest city in India, is the most affected. The water reservoir capacity has dropped down to 0.19%. Groundwater levels have dropped drastically by over 300 feet. Rivers and streams are contaminated with sewage water. Population increased, water consumption increased, but water storage decreased, and so on. Today, people in Chennai are fighting for water. Many people from village had to travel out of town to get just 1 or 2 buckets of water. People from the city are relying on private water tankers who are charging 3 to 4 times more than the normal cost. Schools, hotels, offices, automobile companies are all shutting down. The situation in Chennai is a lesson for all other states of India. It is high time now. If now we did not take up proper measures to save and conserve water, then, according to a recent Niti Aayog report, 21 Indian cities will run out of water by 2020, which is just next year. And in another 10 years, by 2030, 40% of India's population won't have access to drinking water. We or our city could be one of those. So it is important for us to know the exact reasons which caused such water crisis and how to avoid and overcome it. In this video, first, we will find the reasons which caused such devastating situation in Chennai. In the next video, we will go through the possible solutions to avoid and overcome it. Let's find out. The first reason is decrease in rainfall. Lakes and reservoirs have remained the main source of drinking water for public. These lakes and reservoirs solely depend upon rain to replenish. Out of 365 days a year, Chennai has gone without a single drop of rain for about 200 days at a stretch. Due to this, lakes and reservoirs couldn't fill up. Chennai receives an annual rainfall of 132.4 centimeters. The northeastern monsoon brings about 60% of annual rainfall, which is in October-December. But last year, northeastern monsoon failed. The city received only 35.2 centimeters of rainfall, a deficit of 55%. This year, rainfall is delayed. Due to less rain, reservoirs couldn't fill up at the rate at which it was being consumed, so it reduced drastically. This was one of the major causes of water crisis. Climate change. Every year, Chennai faces extreme heat wave. This led to evaporation of water much faster than usual. Chennai's 4 water reservoirs, Chembarambakkam, Pondi, Pugal, and Cholavaram, all have dried up as there was no protection to stop evaporation. See these images. Environmental destruction. Chennai had huge areas of wetlands which soak up the water and increase the groundwater level. Colonization and heavy construction between 1980 and 2010, the city meant its area under buildings increased from 47 square kilometer to 402 square kilometer. Meanwhile, areas under wetlands declined from 186 square kilometer to 71.5 square kilometer. Wetlands were off-limit for construction, and only low-density buildings were permitted on lands immediately upstream of tanks. The reason? These lands have to soak up the rainwater before letting it go to the reservoir. It is this subsurface water that will flow to the lakes as the levels go down with use and time. Unmindful of such common sense, the IT corridor, a road which houses a large number of IT companies in the city, was built almost entirely on Chennai's precious Pallikarnai marshlands. The Perungudi garbage dump spreads out through the middle of the Pallikarnai marshlands, and the area immediately upstream of Chembarambakkam, the city's largest drinking water tank, has now been converted into an automotive special economic zone. The Manali marshlands were drained in the 1960s for the Tamil Nadu's largest petrochemical refinery. Electricity for the city comes from a cluster of power plants built on the Ennur Creek, a tidal wetland that has been converted into a dump for coal ash. The Pallavaram big tank, which is perhaps more than 1000 years old, has over the last 2 decades been bisected by a high-speed road, with the remainder serving as a garbage dump for the locality. If we keep on occupying wetlands in this way, then where will the water go? How will groundwater level increase?
Just imagine.
Dumping untreated sewage water into rivers. 3 rivers, the Coombe, the Adyar, and the Kolastalai River, flow through Chennai into the Bay of Bengal. The Buckingham Canal connects all the 3 rivers. For decades, filth and untreated sewage water has been released directly into these rivers. These rivers, especially Coombe, is now turned into a glorified sewer. The same situation is with the Buckingham Canal. It is so dirty that its water is neither good for drinking nor for regular household chores. So the lakes and reservoirs all are dried up, plus the rivers turned into sewage water. 2 main sources of water bodies are of no use now. Increased water consumption. In the 20th century, like many other cities in India, Chennai's population skyrocketed. Due to the increase in IT companies and other job opportunities, many people migrated from other parts of India to Chennai in search for job and settled here. As population increased, consumption of water also increased. This led to overconsumption of water. As there is no rain, reservoirs are dried up and rivers are polluted. So the only other source remaining for clean water is groundwater. So most of the population soaked up the remaining groundwater, leading to decline in groundwater level. Water consumption became more and more every year, but water refill or replenish decreased every year. Poor management. Chennai's water resources has vanished over the decades due to government's neglection. The city had over 24 water bodies which have reduced to almost half a dozen now. If you remember, in the year 2015, Chennai got affected with massive floods. At that time, Comptroller and Auditor General submitted a performance report of flood management efforts in Chennai. This audit also covered water storage efforts. This report blamed Chennai's drainage system as the major cause of floods. But at the same time, the report also stated that projects to restore and increase the storage capacities of the tanks and reservoirs suffer setbacks due to faulty planning and a lack of coordination between various government agencies. From then till now, the government has not put much efforts to increase the water storage or spread awareness to public to reduce water consumption. Not much attention is given to save natural resources and address common man's problem. This is the second major cause of water crisis in Chennai, neglection. And the last reason is us, overusing and wasting water. People of Chennai consumed more water than required. On an average, a person's water consumption per day should not be more than 150 liters. But a study shows that people living in cities consumed more than 300 to 500 liters per day. This is more than double the average usage. When water was available, they didn't care about it and used it blindly. Now, when there is no water, they understand the value of each drop of water. There is no world without water. So these are a series of unfortunate events which led to Chennai's water crisis. Even now, it is not too late. We still have time to save water and avoid such situation in future. We will see how in the next video. Stay subscribed to get notification about the new video and hit like for this video. Do share it with others so that they will also be a part of this family. Remember, you are important. Thank you.